It is apparently almost certain that we are getting a brand new AEW live show. AEW Collision is apparently coming on June the 17th, which when you think about it, is not far off. You'd imagine they're going to be announcing it very soon. It's apparently going to be on a Saturday night and a 2-hour live show. God, pay-per-views back on a Sunday. It's not going to be great, is it? This is seemingly tying in with the fact that CM Punk is due to come back to the company apparently on June 21st, which happens to be a Dynamite or sometime around it, which could conveniently be AEW Collision. Along with the new show, we apparently are going to finally get an AEW brand split. Hooray! People might finally get used. With all these crazy new announcements, I think it's time to talk about it. So with the news of a brand split, you can't help but feel it tying into the time CM Punk returns, that it's about keeping him away from people he doesn't want to work with, and vice versa, which altogether is understandable because we all know what happened at Brawl Out. I'm not going over it. Go and Google it, go and YouTube it. You can watch it yourself if you want, apart from the fight, but go and have a look if you don't know. But also this could come into play because CM Punk would still be a draw returning to the company. If you need to boost the ratings on a brand new live show, go and chuck him on it. I mean, he could use people like Moxley and stuff, but we all know the draw is Big Phil. I've also been thinking, we talked about the apparent talks that he's due to have with the Elite and Chris Jericho. I feel like these are actually to see if they are willing to work with him on the new show. See which big stars you can put over with him that might actually have a problem with Punk, which kind of ties into the fact that apparently Chris Jericho is going to be Punk's first feud back. So I'd say he's going to be on the show. I also think another name we could potentially see on Collision would be Adam Cole. I don't think he's got a big problem with Punk, and Punk definitely doesn't have a problem with him. There is an absolute respect across the board, I think, here. Plus, Cole hasn't been seen with the Elite since returning, and I don't think he's going to be tying into the story anytime soon. So putting Cole onto Collision would actually give it another big star. On Dynamite, I think it's pretty obvious that the Elite, the BCC, mainly because of Jon Moxley, and obviously we saw what happened with CM Punk with the Instagram post. Another person we definitely won't be seeing on the same show as Punk is Hangman Page. Pretty much all this started because Hangman went into his own on a promo. That was too many quotation marks. I don't care. Obviously, with Chris Jericho being his first feud, you can also imagine the rest of the JAS would be going over, which would be great because all of them might get some more TV time. And that's the next point, TV time. We have all complained that the AEW roster has far too many people on it. A roster split would definitely give some more people TV time, which also leads into storylines leading up to pay-per-views. How many have we seen that feel so last minute thrown together just because it's been given like 1 minute of TV time every week for a little promo, and then we're supposed to believe that this is a big rivalry ready to like explode? Now we focus on 5 stories for Dynamite, 5 stories for Collision. Each one would be given time to flesh out, plus wrestlers that we haven't seen in months. Even some of the guys from Dark, they could easily get some really good TV time because we all know like they tried to put them on Rampage in matches against bigger stars, which obviously they lose. Rampage doesn't get the views Dynamite does, and another live show would. I mean, it's taped most of the time. We find out the results way early and we just don't care about it. I feel like one of the big cons though is the amount of TV AEW will have. I know YouTube doesn't class as TV, but if you take Dark and Dark Elevation, now it's a Dynamite, Rampage, and another 2-hour live show with Collision, that's roughly around 10 hours of TV. Plus, you then chuck on a pay-per-view once every 3 or 4 months, that's going to be roughly around 15 hours of TV a week. I know Dark and Dark Elevation, in all fairness, don't mean anything, but they still do pull a crowd. If you are an AEW shill, you're going to be watching that, which is fine because then you're not watching WWE probably if you are a shill. But if, say, you're someone like me who watches everything WWE and AEW, it's a long time. It's a lot of hours put in. And I know a lot of YouTubers and wrestling journalists and stuff who also watch a lot. And when you have to think of Impact and Ring of Honor, it's a lot of TV. We're really going to have to go back to days of pick what you want to watch, which is totally cool. You should pick what you want to watch. That's fine, but just don't gatekeep it or come into the comments telling me like, oh, AEW sucks. Watch what you want to watch. Just enjoy it, okay? Dialing back to CM Punk as well, he is one hell of a big con as well. What if he opens his big gob again, starts slandering people who are on the roster, and this could happen like 2 months into Collision being a thing. Punk starts running his mouth, you then have to draft the person off the roster and bring someone else to replace them. It could consistently keep happening. If Punk is willing to work and you know, you Brock Lesnar him, you put him in his own room, you keep him away from everybody. Hell, you don't even have him show up to every show because the dude's going to get injured very quickly. Just keep him apart and let everything go nicely. This could actually work. One thing being in the UK, which has heavily pissed me off about AEW Collision being on a Saturday, is pay-per-views are going to be fully moving to Sundays. We've just got used to WWE moving their pay-per-views to Saturdays, and hell, that's been really great. With the Americans, I don't know if you get that, we have to watch it at like 1 o'clock in the morning. Tony Khan puts on hella long shows. We don't get to finish until like 5 o'clock in the morning on a Monday. That's the life we have to live. And it was great having the Saturday pay-per-views because we could watch it live and just sleep through the Sunday. But now, I know, you're just going to tell me to get over it. Oh, well, I guess. Another thing that's been stuck in my mind about all this is what happens with the titles? Are they going to be split between the shows? I'm not too sure what Collision's going to be on. I don't know if it's going to be on TNT. If it does happen to be on TNT, it only makes sense to put the TNT title on Collision. And obviously with Dynamite being on TBS, you put the TBS champion over there. So with that, you would put the Women's Championship over on Collision and potentially put the International Championship on Dynamite. But then you have the problem that there is only one world title and one tag team title. I like the idea of having a floating champion, like having MJF currently showing up across both shows. That sounds like a great idea. But in the same respect, we've all seen what this has done with Roman Reigns currently. They'll start to prioritize him over one show. He's not going to have two separate rivalries going on at once because when he gets to the pay-per-view, he's not going to be able to defend it twice, especially if he loses it. And the same goes for tag titles. So will they be bringing in another tag team championship for the show and maybe another main event title? I mean, if you elevated the TNT title up a bit, you could kind of run that as a main title, kind of, I guess. But then Cody Rhodes would have challenged for the top title and been the top champion after he said he wouldn't challenge for it. I don't know how the titles are going to work. And personally, my opinions on it are kind of naff, I guess. I'm kind of in that, right, I need to see what Tony Khan does with it. I don't like the idea of getting another world title, especially when like the AEW championship, as many good champions as it has had, it doesn't feel as established as, say, a WWE world championship. And I know you're going to argue it's because AEW is not on the same level, which you are totally right. Popularity wise, it isn't. I don't know what they're going to do with the title situation. I'd be very interested. Obviously, Tony's going to say something. Finally, do I personally, even though I know most of you will say that you don't care, do I think that this is a good idea doing a brand split? Thinking about it, yeah, I do. I think if you take a good 30 over to Dynamite, you take a good 30 over to Collision, you kind of establish the people who really are just the guys who fight on Rampage and potentially move some people into Ring of Honor permanently. I think you could have some really good rosters across the board. Do I think there's going to be down points? Oh yeah, like I say, CM Punk opening his mouth, but I'm interested to see it. Are you interested to see it? Please leave it in the comments about what you think. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and let's just see how this all pans out, okay? Bye.